Thanks for staying with NDTV. You're watching the Thursday edition of the World Report. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Elon Musk publicly retreated on some of his attacks on President Donald Trump after a pair of reported phone calls, in fact, between the two camps. This also includes one with President Trump himself. Now, firstly, Vice President J.D. Vance and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles pushed Musk to repair his relationship with Trump. Now, this after the tech billionaire blew up at the president in a dramatic and public falling out ever since the 3rd of June. In a call last Friday, the vice president and Wiles urged Musk to put an end to the public feud. Then on Monday, Trump and Musk reportedly spoke over the phone for the first time since the blow-up on the 3rd of June. Meanwhile, here's a conversation between Trump and a New York Times journalist.
What happened with Elon? Is there anything that you can do to forgive him? Could you see that happening?
Well, I have no hard feelings. I was really surprised that happened. He went after a bill that's phenomenal. It's the best thing we've ever signed in this country, and that's phase one. Phase two, phase three. All of a sudden, it all comes together. It's coming together so well. And when he did that, I was not a happy camper. So it's too bad.
You said he had problems. What kind of problems? I mean, is it the drugs?
I don't know what his problem is, really. I don't know. I haven't thought too much about him in the last little while, but the bill is so good. When he went after the bill, this bill is going to turn around this country so fast your head will spin. It's good for everyone. It's also a tax cut. It's a massive tax cut. It's an extension of debt, which we need. We have to get that. And then we're going to start paying off debt at record levels. It's tariffs on certain people. It's, by the way, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security.
All your promises.
Yeah. And I mean, it's no tax on overtime. If a worker works overtime, there's no tax. That's going to be a great stimulant for the country. No, I think the bill is great. And
he just didn't
I think he feels very badly that he said that, actually.
And maybe it was something else. I mean, he had the fight with Scott Besson outside your office.
Yeah, well, they had not a fist fight, people, but I guess they had a little bit of a shouting match. But that's
Did you hear it?
That's typical. I heard a little bit. That's sort of typical about, that happens.
You were very kind to him. I saw you together, and I think he treated you a bit like a father. And
I was disappointed in him, but it is what it is. That happens. Things like that happen. I don't blame him for anything. That I was a little disappointed.
Could you reconcile?
Say it?
Could you reconcile with him, do you think? Could you forgive him?
I guess I could, but, we have to straighten out the country.
Yeah.
And my sole function now is getting this country back to a level higher than it's ever been. And I think we can do that. I think we're going to do it easily.
As tensions with Iran simmer, the U.S. State Department says the country is reducing the number of people deemed non-essential to operations across the Middle East. Meanwhile, Iraq's state-run Iraqi news agency has said in a statement attributed to an unnamed government official that the evacuation of some non-essential employees, in fact, from the U.S. embassy in Baghdad was in fact part of procedures related to the U.S. diplomatic presence in a number of Middle Eastern countries and not just in Iraq. And that the Iraqi officials have not recorded any security indicators that warrant an evacuation. In fact, my colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for more on this. Vishal, if you can hear me, what's the latest you're picking up after this Iraqi statement, and why is this move so unusual?
Well, Iran has just released a statement saying that it is fully prepared to counter an attack from the Israeli side. And as we've been reporting, there are reports suggesting in the US media that Israel is all set to attack Iran. It could happen in the next hour, in the next few days. And nobody knows that, but it is imminent, is what some authorities have confirmed to the US side, is what the reports are saying. So the Middle East is on edge again. How big this attack would be, that is not clear at the moment, but there will be an attack, that is almost sure. But Iran is also a very strong country. It does have a big arsenal, so it remains to be seen how big it will be, but the Middle East is again on edge.
Well, thank you so much for getting us the latest there, Vishal. And as my colleague says, the Middle East is staring at another fresh flashpoint, this time between Israel and Iran. Now, moving on, US President Donald Trump on Wednesday launched a website for immigrants to register their interest in signing up for the long-touted Gold Card. Now, this would offer successful foreigners a path to US citizenship after paying a whopping $5 million to the Trump government. Now, the site is currently only allowing people interested in the Trump card to register their name, region, email address, and if the applicant is applying for themselves or as a business. However, there's a catch. The program has not yet been launched formally, and the new launched website says that the registered individuals will in fact be the first ones to hear when access actually opens. Staying with the US, where several cities brace for protests against Trump's sweeping immigration raids as LA officials enforced a curfew in the downtown area for a second straight night. That's right, the governor of Texas, meanwhile, Republican Greg Abbott, has said he will deploy the National Guard this week ahead of the planned protest in the state. Meanwhile, protesters and police in Austin clashed on Monday, as you see on your screens. Trump's extraordinary measures, viewers, of sending National Guard and Marines as well to quell protests in Los Angeles have sparked a national debate on the use of military on US soil and have also pitted the Republican president against California's Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom. Demonstration in Los Angeles Civic Center just before the start of the second night of the city's downtown curfew briefly turned chaotic, as you see on your screens right now, with police in riot gear, many on horseback even, charged at a group, striking them with wooden rods and later fired crowd-controlled projectiles. Now, these included one that also struck a woman who writhed in pain in the ground. After the curfew went into effect, a handful of arrests were also made before the area was cleared out. Meanwhile, actor and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger says politicians have a duty to bring people together when tackling difficult issues such as riots. Here's more.
Government, alone it doesn't make any sense to talk about what decisions will I make, because it's not something that you solve alone. You can only solve it together. And so the local government, the state and the federal government have to work together on this issue, and Democrats and Republicans have to work together rather than just trying to keep us always apart and everyone hates everybody, you know. So I think bringing people together and solving those issues is, I think, the duty of the politicians, and they should stop being party servants and be more public servants.
A passenger plane, reportedly an Air India passenger plane en route UK's Birmingham, has crashed near Ahmedabad's airport. The visuals on your screen, the amateur, in fact, video captured on your screen details the damage and the destruction it might have caused on ground. It was reportedly on its way to UK's Birmingham. And for our viewers just joining in, we're getting reports that an Air India plane has crashed. An Air India passenger plane, in fact, has crashed near the Ahmedabad airport. Peel Regional Police in Canada have dismantled a major transnational criminal network responsible for smuggling vast quantities of cocaine into the country. And 9, in fact, suspects have also been arrested in the ordeal. Regional police in Canada have dismantled a major transnational criminal network responsible for smuggling vast quantities of cocaine into the Greater Toronto area. Now, this comes following the largest drug seizure in the service's history. The year-long investigation, dubbed Project Pelican by Canadian authorities, resulted in the seizure of 479 kilograms of cocaine with an estimated street value of around $47.9 million. Now, according to reports, the proceeds from the drug trafficking were being used to finance anti-India activities ranging from protests to weapons funding. Shifting focus to Bangladesh, where Rabindranath Tagore's ancestral home, the historic Kacha Bari in Bangladesh Sirajganj district, was vandalized by a mob following a confrontation between a visitor and a museum employee. Authorities have launched an investigation into the incident and temporarily have closed the site to public. While the next US ambassador to India is yet to be named, Indian-American Paul Kapoor is President Donald Trump's nominee for the position of Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia and Central Asian Affairs, a top diplomatic position where he will oversee America's interactions with India and its neighborhood. Now, these include Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. Meanwhile, here's what Kapoor said at his Senate hearing.
I begin with our partnership with India. The United States and India share a host of common interests, ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific region, which is not dominated by China, expanding bilateral trade, building our economic relationships so that it is more symmetrical and more profitable, facilitating technology sharing and innovation and ensuring access to the energy necessary to fuel our economies. And if confirmed, I'll work to further advance U.S.-India relations and put our partnership on course to realize its tremendous promise. On Pakistan, if confirmed, I will pursue security cooperation where it is beneficial to U.S. interests, while seeking opportunities for bilateral collaboration in trade and investment. South Asia recently avoided a costly conflict, with Vice President Vance and Secretary Rubio intensely engaged on the issue. If confirmed, I will continue to promote long-standing U.S. security interests with India and Pakistan through the pursuit of peace and stability and the fight against terrorism.
Australia's Defence Minister Richard Marles on Thursday downplayed the decision by the United States government to in fact review the AUKUS nuclear submarine deal. Talking to Sky News Australia from Geelong in the state of Victoria, Marles said it was natural for the new government to in fact review its defence posture. He also added that he met with US counterpart Pete Hegseth recently and said it was a positive meeting. Here's more.
Any incoming government will want to have the moment to kind of look under the hood and get a sense of where things are at and to do a review in that sense. And it's what we did, it's what the UK have done, and it's now what the Americans are doing, and we get it and we'll work with them on it.
And the UK's decision to prioritise defence spending by reducing overseas development aid saw their defence spending will now rise to 2.6% of GDP by April 2027. Britain has still not committed to an increase in defence spending to 3.5% of GDP by the mid-2030s at this month's NATO summit, in line with a proposal from the alliance's Secretary General. 14 people, including 4 children, were injured as a result of an overnight attack on Kharkiv by Russia. Ukraine state emergency services have reported. Kharkiv mayor, meanwhile, has said that the city was hit by 2 separate drone attacks that caused fires and destruction in 3 districts. Meanwhile, Ukraine's state emergency service shared a video showing the destruction, cars on fire, and local residents, in fact, being assisted to evacuate their homes. Over in the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government was saved after a bill to dissolve parliament submitted by the opposition failed to pass early Tuesday. His ultra-Orthodox coalition partners threatened to support the measures and force early elections, but a last-minute deal was found. The vote ended with 61 against the dispersal and 53 in favor after some of the ultra-Orthodox withdrew their opposition. Here's more.
53 בעד, 61 נגד. אני קובע כי הצעת חוק התפזרות הכנסת ה-25 התשפ"ג של חבר הכנסת עודד פורר וקבוצת חברי כנסת לא אושרה ותוסר מסדר היום.
Japan has confirmed 2 Chinese aircraft carriers have operated together for the first time in the Pacific, fueling Tokyo's concern about Beijing's rapidly expanding military activity far beyond its borders. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi said in Tokyo Thursday that he was concerned after a Chinese fighter jet came within a close distance from a Japanese reconnaissance aircraft after taking off from one of the carriers over the weekend. Here's Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary for you.
このような中国軍機による特異な接近は偶発的な衝突を誘発する可能性があることから、政府として外務省の船越事務次官から呉江浩在京中国大使へをはじめ中国側に対して深刻な懸念を表明し、再発防止を厳重に申し入れたところでございます。
Pakistan wants to expel 3 million Afghans by the end of this year, saying they are in the country illegally. But many have lived there for decades together. Returning refugees have been forced to head to a camp across the border, in fact, in Tokram, where thousands arrive every week and face a new future in a country they don't even know. Meanwhile, Pakistan denies targeting Afghans and says everyone leaving is treated humanely and with dignity. The migrants, however, viewers narrate a different story.
چې د پاکستان په اسټابلیشمنټ د پاکستان حکومت باندې بالکل یقین نه دی پکار هغه موږ د 6 غنټه ټایم راکو شپږ غنټه چې په شپږ غنټو کې تاسو دنه د ملک پرې دی لاړ شئ د بیا موږ مجبوري وځه هم نشو بیزه تکول چې راغلي رالوتي.
The Manhattan jury found Harvey Weinstein guilty on a sex crimes charge on Wednesday in a retrial after a state appeals court last year, in fact, overturned the former movie mogul's 2020 conviction. Now, Weinstein, once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, in fact, was accused by prosecutors in the case of raping an aspiring actress and assaulting 2 other women as well. 73-year-old Harvey Weinstein pleaded not guilty and has denied assaulting anyone or having non-consensual sex. In closing arguments on the 3rd of June, the prosecution told the 12 jurors that the evidence shows how Weinstein uses power and influence to trap and also abuse women. This time we slip into a short break. I'll see you on the other side. NVIDIA will build its first artificial intelligence cloud platform for industrial applications in Germany. Now, the technology, which will combine AI with robotics, will help car makers such as BMW and Mercedes-Benz with processes from simulating product design all the way to managing logistics. In a landmark moment for Indian fashion, design collective Nor Black Nor White has become the first Indian brand to sign a global collaboration trade deal with Nike. Now, the collaboration is expected to unveil a vibrant collection of apparel, footwear, and even a cross-body bag that celebrate Indian culture and craftsmanship, inviting women into sports with contemporary pieces that promote freedom of movement and expression. Now, this partnership isn't just a win for the duo, but a seismic shift for the representation of Indian designers in the international fashion sportswear space. And in an interesting sight, viewers, during a night running activity held at the Logung Park in Hefei, East China's Anhui province on Saturday, a humanoid robot became the center of attention as it ran with the runners. The staff described this humanoid robot athlete as standing 1.66 meters tall and weighing in at 55 kilograms. Moreover, it utilizes reinforcement learning and advanced motion control algorithms, allowing it to reach a maximum running speed of 1.7 meters per second, which is comparable to the walking speed of an adult. An intelligent physiotherapy robot was also presented to offer post-game relief services for the runners. Listen in.
我们的这台机器人的名字叫夸父今天呢，它完成的是一个首次人形机器人与人一起共同在同一个赛道里边去参与跑步。我们会做它，让它去搬箱子，来做一些搬运的工作，还有一些零件分拣的工作，甚至未来它可能去做打螺丝，甚至走入家庭来给我们做服务。
Mexico City kicked off the one-year countdown to the 2026 FIFA World Cup on Wednesday by lighting up the city's iconic buildings in green, the color assigned to the city by FIFA. Now, the city is scheduled to host the opening game of the tournament, which will take place in stadiums across North America. The World Cup's 104 matches will be staged in 16 locations across Mexico, the US, and Canada. Estadio Azteca, Mexico City, the venue for the opening fixture of the World Cup, is set to in fact become the first stadium to have hosted 3 men's World Cup opening matches. Mexico will play all 3 of their group stage matches on the home turf. Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys' visionary and fragile leader whose genius for melody, arrangements, and wide-eyed self-expression inspired Good Vibrations, California Girls, and other summertime anthems and made him one of the world's most influential recording artists, has died at 82. A tuxedo-wearing Trump arrived at the Kennedy Center in Washington on Wednesday evening for the opening night of the award-winning musical Les Miserables. It was his first time attending a show there since becoming president, reflecting his focus on remaking the institution in his image, while also asserting more control over the country's cultural landscape. The Republican president replaced the previous leadership with loyalists, had himself installed as chairman, and pledged to rid the performing art venue of programming he has complained is woke and too focused, in fact, on leftist ideology and political correctness. Meanwhile, a loud mix of boos and cheers greeted Trump and First Lady Melania as they arrived for the event. When asked about some actors boycotting the event in response to his major takeover of the institution, Trump said he couldn't care less. Here's more.
Some actors may be boycotting
tonight. I couldn't care less, honestly. All I do is run the country well. The economic numbers, you saw them today, they're setting records. We took $88 billion in tariffs in 2 months, far beyond what anybody expected. There's no inflation. People are happy. People are wealthy. The country is getting back to strength again. That's what I care about.
One of the world's most active volcanoes is living up to its tagline. Kilauea on Hawaii's Big Island began erupting Wednesday. It's the 25th such episode in the ongoing eruption that began in December last year. The Hawaii Volcano Observatory says lava fountains were reaching over 330 feet Wednesday and would likely go higher before subsiding. Now, most of the eruptive episodes have spewed lava for about a day or less, and the pauses between them generally last a few days. And we leave you with these visuals on air.